Gargi, it's 10 o'clock. We can start now. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I am Ms. Gargi Dineshwar, Assistant Professor in the Department of Pharmaceutics, and I extend a warm welcome to you all for today's session of the National Webinar Series on Regulatory Affairs. This webinar is organized by the IQAC of Dr. Patil College of Pharmacy in collaboration with the Association of Pharmaceutical Teachers of India. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our respected principal and convener, Dr. N.S. Vyavhare sir, and our co-convener, Dr. Shilpa Chaudhary ma'am, and express my sincere gratitude for their continuous guidance, encouragement, and support in making this webinar series a successful learning platform. I would also like to take this opportunity to appreciate the efforts of the organizing team for their dedication and coordination in conducting this webinar series smoothly. As we gather today for the final session of this webinar series, I am delighted to share that all the previous webinars were conducted successfully and received an enthusiastic response from participants. The sessions have been highly informative and beneficial for students, providing valuable insights into various aspects of regulatory affairs and helping bridge the gap between academic learning and industry expectations. We hope that today's session will continue this enriching learning experience. Before we proceed further, I would like to respectfully invite our Honorable Principal Sir and Convener of this National Webinar Series, Dr. N.S. Vyavhare Sir, to address the gathering.
Thank you and good morning to all. So far this webinar series is found to be highly fruitful and informative for all the audience and participants. I'm really happy to see how the industry experts are getting amalgamated to augment the domain specific knowledge of the teachers and the students. Today seminar that will be delivered by Anand Dev will be highly fruitful considering his vast on-ground experience and dealing with the regulatory aspects of different countries. In today's scenario of NEP, which is embraced with the rapid disruption in the field, we'll have to have hand in gloves type of approach with the industries. I am really happy and thankful to the speaker for sparing a valuable time and given a consent to guide and update all our participants on this particular aspect. We all are eager to listen to him, and hence I just wish all the best to him and all the participants. Thank you. Thank you, Gargi.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable words. We are grateful for your constant guidance and support in making this webinar series an enriching experience for all participants. Now, it is my privilege to introduce the speaker for today's session, Mr. Ameya Deo. Mr. Deo is an experienced executive and biotechnology professional serving as the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Prudence Dermaceuticals Private Limited. Based in Pune, India, he specializes in delivering science-driven dermatological solutions, innovative medical devices, and personalized biotech therapies. With extensive experience in pharmaceutical education, product management, regulatory strategy, and healthcare entrepreneurship, he has played a significant role in bringing novel dermatological technologies from concept to market. His expertise includes international partnerships, medical device imports, regulatory compliance, and product commercialization, making him well versed with the practical challenges and opportunities associated with healthcare innovations. Prior to his leadership role in the industry, Mr. Deo contributed to academia as an assistant professor specializing in medicinal chemistry. He holds a Master of Science in Bioinformatics from Sweden and a Master of Pharmaceutical Sciences from Pune University. He has also contributed to scientific research through publications in the field of computational biology. His unique blend of scientific knowledge, regulatory understanding, and entrepreneurial experience provides valuable perspectives on navigating the medical device landscape in India. Today, he will be sharing his expertise on the topic Medical Device Imports in India, CDSCO regulations and practical insights. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ameya Deo for today's insightful session. Over to you, sir. We look forward to learning from your valuable experiences and practical insights.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible first? Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Respected Principal Dr. N.S. Vevare, sir. Respected Vice Principal Dr. Shilpa ma'am. Respected faculties and my dear students. First of all, I want to thank you, Dr. D.Y. Patil College of Pharmacy and the APTI for inviting me for this series on regulatory affairs. Let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Ameya Deo. I am currently one of the founder of Prudence Pharmaceutical Private Limited, and we started our journey in 2016. Over all these years, I have worked with extensively with dermatology and various other medical devices. I do interact with different manufacturers, importers, regulatory consultants, uh, healthcare professionals throughout the globe to discuss about the innovations in medical devices and the regulatory affairs related to medical devices. Throughout this all journey, there is one important fact which I realize and which I think is very important for all of you to understand. The great product, or I can say device, can fail without any regulatory compliance. But a compliant product or the device always have a pathway to market and always have a success in the market. So for any medical devices, the regulatory compliance is one of the important thing for its success and for its market. Today, I will try to share the practical insights into medical device and its import in India, focusing on CDSCO regulations, then regulatory framework, then some of the part of import process, then compliances which are required, and few practical insights which I realized throughout all this journey. I believe this session is not only designed to understand the regulations, but also to show you how regulatory affairs directly influences business strategies, quality, and the market success. So let's begin with our presentation. If you talk about the medical devices and its import in India, you know that India is one of the fastest growing medical devices market globally. We import significant proportion of advanced medical technologies in India, ranging from, let's say, diagnostic equipments, which act as a medical devices, to the implants, which can be implanted into the body and also act as a medical devices. Also, the active energy devices like medical lasers, which can be used in various fields like dermatology, orthopedics, ophthalmic, all these are also a part of medical devices. Also, there is a new part which is defined by CDSCO called as a software-based medical devices, in which the software can also act as a medical devices. We will understand this as we go further. In today's session, we will be focusing on understanding all these journeys, and by the end of this, let's say this lecture, we can understand the Indian regulatory framework. We can able to classify the medical devices. We can understand the domestic and import licensing pathways for the medical devices. Also, we will briefly understand the key documentations which are required for the medical devices import, and most important thing which I feel is the post-market surveillance and the responsibilities which are defined by the CDSCO. Can you please go to next slide? So this is our brief agenda, the 4-point agenda. Firstly, we will understand what you mean by CDSCO medical devices rule, which is there in 2017. Second, we will explore the risk-based classification system defined by the CDSCO. Third, we will also discuss about the pathways for domestic and import. And finally, I will try to give some insight about my expertise in dermatology and aesthetic medical devices. So this will be the agenda of our today's lecture. Now, whenever you see any medical device, you should ask yourself what can be the intended use, what risk it possesses, and what regulatory pathway it would apply. Because these three questions will be asked by CDSCO. Please, next slide, please. Before discussing the licenses, we need to understand the who regulates these licenses. So in India, if you see the CDSCO, which also stands for the Central Drug Standard Control Organization, which is functioning directly under the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. CDSCO is the regulatory authority for medical devices. I think you, as a student, already have everything into your syllabus, so I will not go deep into all these things. But CDSCO is the one who controls or regulates the licensing procedure. Then this MDR 2017 or Medical Devices Rule 2017 is a paradigm shift in Indian device regulation. It's a historical transition. Before that, only few notified devices are regulated. Before that, we don't have any classification of the medical devices. So there were so many ambiguities in defining the medical devices and in uh, defining how the medical devices will work. But MDR 2017 is a historical transition, and due to which India adopts the risk-based classification, which is globally present in all other countries, and thus classifying the devices into various classes. And this MDR 2017 defines again the pathways for import and domestic licensing. And it is important to know that severe penalties will be imposed if the non-compliant manufacturing, import, or distribution of medical devices is done in India. The primary objective of the MDR 2017 is to understand the safety, quality, performance, and the effectiveness of medical devices. Now, we understood that who regulates the licensing procedure or who regulates the medical devices. Now, let's understand how CDSCO regulates the level of scrutiny or how the CDSCO identify the medical devices. The answer lies in the classification. Next slide, please. So this slide overviews the classification of different medical devices. Uh, India follows the four-class risk system or the four different classes. I think you guys already know this. The class A represents the low risk devices. Class B represents the low to moderate risk. Class C, moderate to high. And the class D represents the high risk devices. I can say the easy way to understand this is as the risk increases or as the patient risk increases, the regulatory requirement also increases. So you require a very few documentation for class A type of devices, while the class D devices requires very stringent and even clinical trial like those kind of documents. Also, the classification depends upon several factors, such as what can be the intended use, what is the degree of invasiveness, how much is the duration of contact, what is the anatomical location that the device can be used, and also the device, what energy will be delivered by the devices. So there are three types of devices classified by CDSCO: the invasive devices, non-invasive devices, and the active devices. So the non-invasive devices are typically remain outside the body. You can say the example includes the collection bags, dressing, storage systems. They mostly fall into class A or B. The invasive devices, as you understand from the name, they enter the body into orifice or the surgical intervention. The risk depends upon the depth of penetration, duration of use, then the site of contact, and therefore they are classified from B to D. Then the active devices, these are the devices which emit certain light or emit certain energy. And these devices, let's say example include lasers or the ultraviolet systems or the X-ray machines. And because these devices emit energy and they actively interact with the patient, many of them are classified from B to C. Now, when you want to evaluate a certain device, when you see a certain medical device, and when you want to understand what is the classification or what this device can be classified into, you need to ask three questions. Is it a non-invasive? Is it invasive, or is it active? If you understand these things, then you can classify the device very correctly. So this is the brief classification I want to include. I think you have this in syllabus and you know more about it. So I will not go deep into it. Now can you please go to the next slide, ma'am? Next slide, please. Yeah. Now, next slide, please. After we understand the classification, then let's understand the regulatory approval process. So there are two ways in which we do the medical devices. First one is the domestic manufacturing path, and other one is the import path. So for the domestic manufacturing path, I'm not going to go much detail because and the pathway is like there are four steps. First is the QMS, that is quality management system alignment. It is the very important step. ISO 13485 compliant quality management system is required and mandatory for medical device manufacturing. Second one is the audit and confirmatory assessment. Generally, all the classes of device, whether it's class A, B, C, or D, it requires auditing and assessment. For the class A and B, generally state notified bodies assess or audit the factories. But class C and D, central, that is CDSCO team, generally assess the audit. Step 3 is the application through a popular portal called as a Sugam portal, which is there developed by Government of India. And after application, after submitting necessary documents, after reviewing, CDSCO grants a license depending upon medical device. And this license is in the form of MD9, which is for the class C and D, and MD5, which is for class A and B. I want to highlight here a most important point. As a student, you should understand that regulatory affair student or the professional spend more time in preparing the documents. Yes, you might be surprised by this thing, but regulatory professional, most of their time spends in preparing the valid documents, because documentation is the most important part. The submission procedure is just like few hours are required for the submission, but preparation of important documents is very important. So documentation quality often determines the approval success. Now let's understand the pathway via which the multinational companies which are outside India can enter into the domestic market of India. Can you please go to the next slide, please? So let's talk about import registration path. The import registration for the medical devices starts with the IAR appointment. The IAR stands for Indian Authorized Agent. So any company who want to enter the Indian domestic medical device market needs to appoint IAR, and this IAR will act as a representative, an official interface between the CDSCO and the overseas manufacturer. Next comes the documentation or the file compilations. So there are several documents which are there, classified into 4 different categories. We will see that in upcoming slides. These documents need to be prepared very stringently, and these documents mostly prepared, or 90% part is done by the overseas manufacturer, 10% part is done by the IAR or the representative in India. Usually this is the most time consuming part, as the documents are very stringent. And next part is the submission through Sugam portal, again in the form of MD14, which is the application form for obtaining the import license. And after again review process and due diligence, you will receive a MD15, that is the CDSCO medical device license. Can you please go to next slide? So there are several documents which are required for this MD15 or the import license. I have mentioned them here. I will just briefly go through it because it will be too hectic to explain everything, all this. I will classify these documents or the dossiers into the 4 different categories. First one is the manufacturing quality, or the documents which defines the quality of manufacturer, which includes the evidence documents such as the ISO documents, CE certification or the FDA certifications, audit reports, or the declaration of conformity. Then second ones are the device specific technical evidences, which includes the DMF, that is the device master file, intended use, device description, substantial data, labels, IFU, that is instruction for use, various verifications and the validations. Third one is the safety evidences, which includes the risk analysis, biocompatibility, then sterilization, validation, clinical evidences, stability studies, and post-market surveillance data. So these are the few documents which are required, including the apostille power of attorney signed by the Indian agent and the manufacturer. Then there is a market authorization required from the manufacturer to the IAR. So that will be provided by the overseas manufacturer. You also require most important thing, that is free sale certificate. This free sale certificate is given by the regulatory agency of that country. Suppose you are importing from Spain, the free certificate is given by the medical device agency in Spain, or vice versa. So it depends upon the country of import. But the free sale certificate is the mandatory document without which it will not, the import process will not proceed. Then also there should be a latest inspection and audit report, at least for 3 years. Then valid copies of quality certificate, which includes the, as I said, the ISO 13485 certificate, then quality assurance certificate. Mostly in European countries, it is CE type examination certificate, or in other countries also, if you have a CE type examination certificate, that is valid. Then if you have any design patent or CE design certificate, then you can submit that also. Then there is a format given by the Indian CDSCO, that is for the declaration of conformity that your device is safe and it doesn't possess any risk. So we need to sign that. Then also you require a plant master file to understand. Can you please go to next slide, ma'am? Yes, you need a plant master file to understand the process flow and the manufacturing flow. Then you require a device master file. This is very important, also called as DMF. This file has all the important data related to the device. There are total 17 documents or the 17 heads which are there into this file. First one includes the executive summary, which includes description of device, its use, regulatory status, regulatory approval, market clearances, and the specifications. Then you also require the equivalence data, which is the evidence provided by manufacturer that device is safe, effective, and performs similarly to legally marketed devices. Whatever the labels and IFU, that is insert for use, that also needs to be submitted to understand the compatibility of the product. Then device verification and validation protocols. Then manufacturing process flowchart, that how the device is manufactured, what is the stepwise procedure that you need to understand. Then essential principle checklist. Again, this is the document provided by the CDSCO, which is in the format which a manufacturer needs to fill and sign. Please, next slide. Next slide, please, ma'am. Hello. Next slide, ma'am. Yeah, thank you. So also device file for the device master file or the next one is the risk analysis and control summary, then biocompatibility studies, then details of the medicinal substances. Like if your device contains any drug, then that drug information needs to be provided. Biological safety certificates, TAC and BAC. I hope you know that this this these documents give you the information that there is no animal derived material which is used in the medical devices, and it doesn't, or if it is used, it is of low risk. Then sterilization protocol and reports, and software verification and validation if software is used. Please go to next slide. Then you require animal studies, that is preclinical data. Again, uh, all these documents are applicable mostly to the class D. Class A, B, C doesn't require this because they are low risk. Then shelf life stability data if required, if your device compliant with that. Then clinical evidences evaluation report. Again, it is mostly applicable to class D. Then post-market surveillance data, if any, again, mostly applicable to class D. Then batch release certificate and certificate of analysis of the finished product for minimum last 3 batches. All these 17 heads are in the device master file or the DMF. Now, most important thing here is CDSCO might ask you about the clinical trials in India as well. Sometimes it happens that if it is a class D device, if it is an implant, or if it is the device which will remain inside the body more than 6 months, then CDSCO might ask you about the clinical data or the safety data from Indian perspective. So for that, we need to assign the clinical organization who can handle that. Data, then only CDSCO will apply or provide the license. Then also required a manufacturing or establishment plant registration in the country of origin issued by the authority. Please go to next slide. These are the documents previously mentioned are for the manufacturer who are present in the other countries. Now, for the Indian authorized agent, we need a very simple documents, including covering letter, self-attested copies of the licenses or the MD42 license, medical device 42 license, then certificate of incorporation along with the MOA and the AOA. So these are the very few documents which are need to be submitted by the Indian authorized agent. As I said, the clinical investigation requirements might be there for Class C and Class D device, unless there is an exemption granted by the CDSCO. If you talk about the timeline for all these procedures, usually most of the time is devoted to preparation of documents. It takes long time to prepare all these documents, take the feedback from manufacturer, take the necessary documents from manufacturer, format it according to the formats given by CDSCO. And after submission, the usually CDSCO reviews it, and the timeline provided by the CDSCO for the approval is usually 9 months to 12 months. The this is usually for the Class D, it takes that much long time, but usually for Class C and D, it takes around 6 months for the review and to get a license. Until unless there is no lack of documents, there is no lacuna in your documents, so you will get it. For Class A, which CDSCO define it as a non-sterile or non-measuring class of device, the registration is very simple. You need to go through Sugam portal. You need to register as a importer or importer there, and from there you can easily generate a valid license for Class A of device. Here, the classification is important. One should understand that the Class A means non-sterile and non-measuring. The device should be non-measuring. So that is very important. Please go next slide. These are the few government fees which are required for obtaining the MD15 import license. For the manufacturing site registration is US dollar 3,000 is required for the one site. So if device is manufacturer in different manufacturing sites, all the sites needs to be registered with the CDSCO, and each site attracts a fee of US $3,000. Then for the product registration, US 1,500 is required for the each product. So suppose you have 10 types of products, then each product has a fee of 1,500 US dollar. So again, this needs to be paid via the CDSCO portal, Sugam portal, before while you apply. All this fee needs to be paid as a prepaid fees. There is no like you can pay it later or something. And after paying fees, only the review process will start. Please go next slide. Now, let's understand, like, suppose like you want to import a device in, let's say from Europe. Then in Europe, you know that the regulatory agency is CE, which is very popular throughout the world. Now, even CE given approval for the medical devices in Europe, but still, when you want to import it to India, only the CE approval will not hold as a important document. The CDSCO will ask for the more documents, which include technical documents like DA and the DMF, risk assessment, regulatory evidences, all these things. So that means that even if you have CE approval or FDA approval, still the Indian government or the CDSCO requires so many documentations to give the approval for selling in India. So foreign approval does not automatically translate it into the Indian approval. Now, this slide depicts the meteorovigilance program, or called as popularly known as MVPI in India. Now, many people think that after getting a license, we are free. We got the regulatory approval, we get a license, we can now import the devices in India. But in reality, the regulatory responsibilities, which I feel that regulatory responsibility starts after you get a license, because MVPI usually highlight the post-market surveillance system, and all the manufacturers or the importers must monitor the performances of the device and report any adverse effect to the CDSCO. Let's say the examples include any if you have any device malfunction, or if there are any serious injuries, or if there are any deaths or the near miss incidences which happens due to the uh, using medical devices. All these data needs to be reported to the CDSCO in specified format and through Sugam portal. For Class C and Class D devices, the periodic safety update reports, are also called as PSUR, needs to be submitted annually for the first 3 years. This is the important guideline. Uh, like like you do audit every year, these reports need to be submitted at least for first 3 years post registration. And this should include the summary of any adverse effects or any safety corrective actions, then any risk assessment, then information of compliance or any recalls that happen in the market, any new safety information. All this information needs to be included into the periodic safety update reports. And if there is any adverse effect, then that needs to be reported immediately without waiting for the PSU or PSUR. So the post-market surveillance is how CDSCO ensures that you are uh, whatever the medical device you import or whatever medical device you manufacture is does not possess any risk to the patient, because the medical devices always use on the patients. So now, please go to next slide. Uh, this slide is particularly close to my professional experience, since I work extensively in dermatology medical devices or dermatology medical lasers throughout last 10 years. So there are several medical devices in dermatology that can be imported. In dermatology, you have majorly the laser devices, which can act on the skin, which can penetrate through skin, which gives the benefits to the skin. That includes the active devices, which emits the certain laser lights in certain wavelength. Also includes the phototherapy system, which emits the UV phototherapy, UVB or UVA phototherapy from the device. So several devices are there. Given the examples, such as there are ablative lasers, which are like non-invasive lasers, which include the CO2 lasers, which are used not only in dermatology but also in ophthalmology. CO2 lasers are used for the specifically for the various skin modifications, and um, it helps to get the skin into proper shape and size. Then also Nd:YAG lasers, called as a Q-switch Nd:YAG lasers, which can be also used for the beautification purpose or the aesthetic purpose. Now, this devices emits particular wavelength lasers, and thus they are classified into active therapeutic devices. So generally, all these devices are classified into Class C, and whatever the documentation required is for the class C devices. Then you have radio frequency microneedling devices. Again, this is defined by CDSCO. This is again invasive active therapeutic devices. So this device has certain needles which goes into your skin, and this again used for the aesthetic problems like acne scars or other several dermatology indications. And these devices, as they have needles which delivers the energy into the skin, into the dermis layer of the skin, they can be classified into B or C. Then you have a HIFU or high intensity focus ultrasound systems, which are again classified into active therapeutic or the acoustic devices, which uses the sound waves for the modification of the skin. These are classified into class C. Then here is the popular example which I want to highlight, which is called as a SAMD or software as a medical devices. Now, whenever you talk or about the medical devices, you think about a particular big device that can be imported. But CDSCO also defines software, a simple software, as a medical device. So example includes skin analyzer softwares. So there are several skin analyzers that can be imported in India, which is used by the professional dermatologists and the plastic surgeons for the analysis of skin, to understand the type of skin, to understand the particular indication related to skin. And usually before any diagnosis, they ask patient to do the skin analysis. So normal skin analysis is simple. Doctor uses their own simple devices to do the skin analysis. But these are advanced skin analyzers, which has a software which gives you the typical statistics of all the parameters related to the skin. That is, suppose example, moisture content, then the uh, degree of the pigmentation, and various other factors. And because this measures the quality of the skin, that's why it is not coming under non class. It is coming under the measuring class, and hence it act as a software which is act as a medical device. So SAMD. So usually, mostly, if it is like simple parameters, then it is classified as class A. But if it is like generating the lot of data, then it is classified into class B. So it totally depends upon, again, what kind of uh, parameters it will give you and what kind of reports it will give you. So after understanding this, you must be sure that the regulatory affairs is very important. Then sometimes the changing a single claim can change the classification category. So if you only have example like a dermatoscope, which is a simple scope to analyze the skin, this device can be classified into class A. CDSCO has a list of class A, B, C, D devices, which is on their website. Class A device, example, dermatoscope is present. But if dermatoscope comes with a software, so you are changing the claim, then this is classified under class B. This is no more under class A. So one need to understand as a regulatory professional that what are the parameters or what are the important things that are driven your medical device. And then you need to do the classification, because it is very important thing to understand that if your classification is wrong, your regulatory affair procedure will be wrong, and CDSCO might not issue you the license. So doing a proper classification is very important to understand the regulatory requirements and the documentation requirements, and which drives the approval process. Uh, Please go next. So here are like important websites. You might be know that the CDSCO, the links which you can use for the regulation or the submission of documents related to the medical devices. I will just briefly introduce this because of the privacy things. I cannot show you the exact dashboard and exact information, but I will try to briefly overview it. Please go next. So, as a student, I want to highlight here that when you enter into industry or when you work with the industry, you need to familiarize with the regulatory portals. So, regulatory portal like CDSCO or the Sugam portal is very important for the medical devices. If you want to import the cosmetic, you need to again import it through Sugam portal, which is for cosmetics. If you want to pay fees, you need to use the Bharat Kosh, which is a portal given by the government to pay the necessary fees, through which only you can pay the fees. So understanding how the application move through this digital workflow can understand the or can improve the efficiency of the work. So this is how the Sugam portal looks like. In here, you have on the right side the option of login or register. So as a first time manufacturer or importer, you need to go through this. Please go next slide. So when you click login or register, you will get this window where you can see you can register via the specified username password, or you can register the product. So please go next slide. So when you want to register, there are several purposes for the registration. Like if you want to import the medical device, or you want to do the clinical investigation of medical device. If your device is only for the laboratory registration, that is in vitro use, then you can also do that. Then manufacturing of the medical device for registration of class A, that is non-sterile, non-measuring medical device. Then registration for the RICS classification. This is important that sometimes, even if with your expertise or even if the with your expertise of certain regulatory professionals, you can't identify the risk type or the class type of your device, then in this case the CDSCO helps you. You just need to register via this, that is registration for risk classification. You need to submit the details of your device, including everything. Then CDSCO will review this and assign the proper class to it. This is necessary for the non-notified devices. Usually, when you go to Sugam portal, you have the PDF files given by the CDSCO, which include the classification, which include the all the devices types, all the classifications uh, for the different things like ophthalmology, dermatology, orthopedics, everything is included. But if there is any non-notified device, then you need to do the classification or understanding of classification from CDSCO. And again, if you want to sell the medical devices in India, require a wholesale drug license or the medical device license, which is called as MD42, which is mandatory. And you can also do a registration for this, including this. So now let's say if you want to import a medical device, and if you click that, can you go to the next slide? So these are the few details which you need to fill when you want to register as an importer. Most of these are basic details of your company, whether your company is private limited, whether your company is LLP, whether it's a proprietorship, or whether it's a partnership. Totally depends upon what type of company you have. You need to fill all the details in that, including the incorporation certificate, your GST details, everything needs to be filled. Please go next slide. Same here, you need to fill the different details. Next slide. So after registration, you will get your username and password. And when you log in through that username and password, you can see this kind of dashboard, which includes the tab for submission of application. Then you can view the your submitted draft applications. Then you can view the submitted applications, approved application, rejected applications. You can also apply for the brand endorsement, that if you are having a patented product or typical new brand, you can apply for the endorsement of that. Then you can also apply for the post approval data for here, apply for the risk classification from here. Next slide. Also, there are option to withdraw your application, then cancel your application. Also, when you submit the application, there are several queries needs raised by the CDSCO, and we need to respond to queries using this tab. You can also surrender your application. The next two tabs are important related to Class A, which are non-sterile, non-measuring devices. So when you want to submit a Class A non-sterile, non-measuring device, you need to submit via these tabs. Then you need to apply for the periodic safety reports using this tab. And again, if you want to surrender your license, you don't want to work that, again, you can use this tab. So this is the brief dashboard of the CDSCO Sugam portal. So this is, via this you can register your product, whether it's a manufacturing, whether it's an import in India, and you can, after registration, whenever you get a license, you can sell the product in India. So for a conclusion, I can leave you with the three important messages. First thing, classification drives regulation. So it is very important. If the classification is incorrect, then the entire regulatory strategies may fail. So the classification is very important. So if you don't understand the classification, ask the particular regulatory professional or ask CDSCO about it. Second thing, documentation is everything. So all the regulatory affairs, whether it's CDSCO or any other regulatory body in throughout the globe, the documentation is very important. Mostly important is documents should provide the evidences that your device is risk-free, that your device performs as it said, that your device doesn't have any problems, doesn't have any adverse effect. So after these evidential documents, then only the regulatory body will give you the license. And third thing, regulatory affairs is not merely a compliance function. So one might think that the regulatory affairs is only for the compliance. After that, the time it gets finished, everything gets finished. And mostly multinational companies have the separate regulatory affairs department, and the few small companies hire the regulatory agencies to do the work for them. So what I think, the regulatory affair not only act as a helps in compliance functions, but also enables the innovation, or let's say market access, your patient safety, all these things. As a student, I feel you have a great or the exciting opportunities in field of medical devices, pharmaceuticals, biologicals, clinical research, and the global market access. If you know, again, certain languages, specific languages, you can access the global market also. And the demand for the regulatory professionals grow very in high demand, like I will say, because since last many years I work with the very regulatory professionals, I can see there is a constant demand for the regulatory professionals. So if you have if you have that strong technical understanding, or let's say attention to details, or mindset of continuous learning, then this field of regulatory affairs is a very rewarding career. from my point of view. So this ends our a small brief session on the medical devices imports and CDSCO regulations in India. Uh, I'm very thankful for your time and attention. Again, I sincerely appreciate the opportunity provided by Dr. D.Y. Patil College of Pharmacy and the APTI for this wonderful opportunity to give insights about the CDSCO regulation and the import of medical devices. Uh, I'm not sure whether we can have any question answer sessions. I will leave that to um, the ma'am. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
We sincerely thank Mr. Ameya Deo sir for his highly informative session and for sharing his valuable knowledge and practical experiences regarding medical device imports, CDSCO regulations, and regulatory pathways in India. Now, let us move on to the question and answer session. We have received some interesting questions from the audience. I'll begin with the first one. Question number 1. Sir, in your experience, what are the most common reasons CDSCO raises queries or delays an MD15 application even when all the required documents have been submitted?
Well, there are several factors, but mostly the questions or the queries raised by CDSCO is for the device master file. The device master file includes all the details, but sometimes it happens that uh, the manufacturer overseas has certain specification which do not match with the Indian specification. Like example of the quality management system. So Indian governments require specific ISO quality management system. And if the global manufacturing firm doesn't have that quality management system, then they need to first follow it. They need to first prepare all the documents related to it. And then only the government will give you the, CDSCO will give you the license. Second thing, again, the risk which is there. So if majorly, if it is a class C or class D device, CDSCO asks so many queries, mostly related to the first thing, which is a clinical evidences. So if it is like a implant which stays in your body for certain period of time, or let's say example include a dermatology example include, let's say a thread which can be stays in your body for at least 9 months. So for those things, they not only require the safety data, but also require the decomposition data, like how the substance which get inside your skin decompose naturally and get out of the body naturally. So that data also needs to be submitted. Sometimes for the devices, like example, platelet-rich plasma medical devices, they also ask for the smear data, that when you have the your PRP, that it needs to be smeared on the your slide, and the microscopic data is required to understand the summary of the cells which are present inside it. So it totally depends upon, or it depends upon device to device, but mostly the problems are in the device master file, which I think I have seen and faced.
Thank you, sir. Uh, there is also another question. Question number 2. If a company is planning to introduce multiple variants of the same device, what is the strategy to minimize approval timelines and cost under CDSCO? Can variants be grouped under a single application?
Yes, of course. You can have any type of variants. There is no problem. But for each variant, you need to pay separate fees. So one application can contain 100 variants. Doesn't matter. So suppose example, like you import a blood pressure measuring apparatus. So you can have several different types of blood pressure measuring or models of the apparatus. You can put it into single application. So if it is manufactured at single site, you just need to pay US $3,500 for the single manufacturing, and then you need to pay variant fees. So if there are 10 variants, you need to pay, let's say, 1,500 US dollar for each variant. So the total cost will be 15,000 US dollar. So of course it's very is possible.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone, for your valuable questions and active participation. I hope we have been able to address all your queries. Further, I would again like to express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Ameya Deo, sir, for delivering such an insightful and practical session. Now, I request our organizing team to kindly present the e-certificate to our respected speaker as a token of our heartfelt appreciation and gratitude for sharing his valuable time, knowledge, and expertise with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Moving towards the conclusion, I now request Dr. Sanket Kadam sir to present the vote of thanks.
Good morning, all. On behalf of Dr. Patil College of Pharmacy, I, Dr. Sanket Kadam, take this opportunity to express a heartfelt gratitude to everyone who contributed to making today's session a national webinar series on regulatory affairs a grand success. First and foremost, I would like to sincerely thank our esteemed speaker, Mr. Ameya Deo, for sharing his valuable insights and experiences with us. Our expertise in medical devices, regulatory strategies, and industry practices has provided immense learning values to all the participants. I would also like to extend my thanks to our principal and convener, Dr. N.S. Vyavare sir, and our co-convener, Dr. Shilpa Chaudhary ma'am, for their continuous guidance, encouragement, and support throughout this webinar series. A special thanks to the IQAC and the organizing team for their dedicated efforts in coordinating this event and ensuring a smooth learning experience. I also express my gratitude to all faculty members and participants who joined us today. Your enthusiasm, interaction, and participation have made this session meaningful and engaging. We hope the knowledge and the practical insights shared today will help everyone to understand the evolving regulatory landscape of medical devices in India and support their professional growth. Once again, thank you for your valuable time and participation. I request all the participants to kindly fill out the feedback form and attempt the quiz. The links will be shared through the WhatsApp groups and YouTube chat box. Before concluding, I would like to proudly mention that today's session, we successfully complete our national webinar series on regulatory affairs. All the webinars conducted under this series were well received and proved to be highly useful for the students, researchers, and academicians. We sincerely thank all the speakers who shared their expertise and all the participants who have active involvement made this series a grand success. We hope the knowledge gained through these sessions will continue to support your academic and professional growth. Now, I request everyone to start their web cameras for a group photograph. Thank you all and have a great day. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ameya.